All right. Well, Bob, I think we've talked enough about the Expo now. We all know how great it is. You love it. I love it. We all love it. Let's talk football.
Okay.
So here we are. We're going towards the 2025 season. Training camp just opened. Some unique things, Mr. Rice and Mr. Addison. Still don't know the days or weeks that they'll be missing. But let's talk about Rashee Rice, because obviously if it's 6 games, it's bigger than 2. But where are you on Rashee Rice at this point? What round does he have to be available to you before you're like, okay, it's worth the commitment?
So he dropped from I want to say quickly from wide receiver 17 and just kind of consensus ADP down to 29, at least in the high stakes world.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little slightly lower. Xavier Worthy did not much. I think he's still around 27. That feels comfortable for me. Rice. So there's a difference between what a lot of us are doing. I have 12 drafts on my screen in front of me right now ongoing. That's pretty much constant from February on.
Sure
And so I have shares of players over the course
Mhm.
of time. I never had a lot of Rashee Rice, though. Two things. He's coming off the injury, and there was this little bit of uncertainty. It seemed like there came a point where we all decided, well, they haven't done anything. He's going to be fine. Right. And lo and behold, they were working behind the scenes of this game unbehold. So I don't have a lot of shares. He might be one of my least rostered players,
Mhm.
and I don't like him at his current price. Like I'm not a fan of uncertainty, right? I would rather is there a price point where I'm going to say, oh wow, when he gets back on the field, I'm getting crazy value here? Yes, and when he hits that point, I'll start investing. But he's not there yet as wide receiver 29 without knowing. And look, he may get like the 6 games or 8 games. Maybe they give him half a season. Maybe it peels it down to 4 or something like that.
Right.
It's unknowable.
Right.
But with Jordan Addison, it's a little more knowable, right? It's 3 games. Maybe they peel it down to 2 because he pleaded down to a lesser charge than what it had been. So,
Right.
but I think everyone's banking on 3. So his wide receiver 36 ADP has not really moved based on that.
In Kansas City. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I think like if you get a little certainty and you can build around it and mitigate whatever risk you're including in your roster, it makes it a little easier to do. So for me, that's why I'm a little out on Rice, because I don't know how much I need to mitigate, how much I need to invest in a player to cover me or carry me early in the season versus what I'm going to get at the end of the season. So if I get a little clarity on that, and I suspect now that he is, we know what's going on, but he's probably working with the league to get this all dealt with. He knows he's going to be suspended or faces suspension. Might as well work through it and get it taken care of, get it served, and get it out of the way. So I think if you're in a dynasty league and someone's getting nervous about the whole situation, you're always looking to leverage these moments in that regard. But I think for redraft, for me, I could probably find other players at all the various price points that'll suit my needs until I get enough clarity on Rice to make it, or until I get so much value that I don't care about the clarity.
Of the 2, Worthy versus Hollywood Brown, which of them do you think benefits the most by Rice's time off?
I don't know if either of them benefit that much more. I mean, somebody's going to get more targets. Is that going to be some split between Juju Smith-Schuster and other players? And I know the rookie there, Jalen Royal. Jalen Royal kind of has this similar type of archetype to Rashee Rice. But I don't know what it'll be. But I think Xavier Worthy has gone out there and went out towards the end of last season and demonstrated what he's capable of. And if we're to believe Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid both talking about going deeper again, remember Mahomes' ADOT has dropped down below 8 yards an attempt the last 2 years. That is lane, right? And they would like to get back. Since Tyrell left, it's diminished annually. And so I think they'd like to pick up the pace a little bit. Maybe Travis Kelce benefits a little bit with Rice out in the shorter and intermediate areas. I don't know, maybe at least gets off to a faster start. I mean, obviously they want him there at the end of the season. Like if he's not up to speed week 1, they're not too worried about Travis Kelce, but we are. So that would be great. But I do think Xavier Worthy, especially with his performance in the Super Bowl, was huge, but he had been trending upwards. So I think where he's going at, maybe he is like a value that you're not overpaying for. So I do like him there. And look, it's entirely possible that maybe he establishes himself as the lead piece, at least until Rice comes back. I do think Rice's role looks fantastic. I like everything about Rice, as a player. Yeah. I just don't like uncertainty, and there's enough certainty around there at those price points that I can feel that I can comfortably navigate without him. But if I gain that clarity, I want some of that. But in the meantime, like me, I usually take the cheaper I do have some.
Right.
I do have some shares of Hollywood Brown because he's wide receiver 50, mid 50s.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got him in like round 12 in the pros versus Joes. I'm like,
that sounds about right. And so, like, I'm not against that. I'm all for bargains and guys with an opportunity. And look, we didn't know what he was going to be last year. You know, the injury happened right away, and it was a serious injury. But that's kind of been a little bit of a history. You know, I'm injury agnostic, so I tend to ignore those things and plow forward. And the price is right, so I'll probably have some share. But I do like Rice at his cost as well.
Yeah, love that. Let's talk about the first round. Anybody in the first round, in just, regular drafts, no super flex, no tight end premiums. Is there anybody that's going in the first round that you're probably not going to draft regardless of what spot you have? Is there anybody that's really outside of your first round liking?
Probably not anyone that I'm avoiding on purpose. I feel like I don't have Puka Nacua, but that's mostly because I like Devontae Adams at cost, and I don't want to have both of them.
Yeah.
And so I'll kind of start thinking ahead. If I'm going to get Devontae Adams at the end of round 3 or early round 4, or ideally if I can get Adams at the end of round 3 and circle back around to get Mike Evans at the start of round 4 or things like that, I'm probably not going to have a lot of Puka Nacua for that reason. I think that's the only reason I might be
that makes sense.
Dial back on anyone in the first round. I think you can make arguments, when you check out the magazine, the cover article is called "Who's Number One." It was written by me. There are, like most years, there's like we always have a really clear cut number one. I think it's fairly clear cut this year, but you could make an argument for 4 different guys, and Jamar Chase is the one I see going the most. But I see plenty of Bijan. I see still Saquon kind of in and out of there, and Jahmyr Gibbs are the guys, and Justin Jefferson would probably be 5 if we didn't have a new quarterback in. We may be overplaying that. I'm going to get on the soapbox at some point at the Expo and remind everyone not to let quarterback situations or less than ideal quarterback situations or perceived deficits at quarterback scare you off great receivers.
Right.
It doesn't work for you, people. The great receivers keep receiving greatly. Last year's Malik Neighbors would like you to know he could do it with 4 quarterbacks, all of whom pretty much suck. Brian Thomas Jr. over the last 3 weeks of the season was wide receiver 1 on a points per game basis with Mac Jones as his trigger man, people. So don't, keep that in mind as you're drafting these players. But there's a lot to like about these guys. And like one of the things that like every year we do the early panel. And we, you ask us to plant our flags. I'm thinking of my flag plant this year. The last 2 years it's been, the cheaper rookie. Not the first rookie, the second rookie. So 2 years ago, Jahmyr Gibbs maybe looked very smart. Last year, Malik Neighbors maybe looked very smart. This year, it's not going to be rookies. It's going to be some of the older players I'm gonna be flag planting on. And why? It's because older players have established roles. And I think, I'm looking for clear paths to volume. That's the primordial sludge from whence all fantasy production arises, people. They got to have opportunities. And so I do like, there's like Christian McCaffrey's climbing back in. If he's healthy, the volume is going to be immense. Derrick Henry, the volume is going to be immense. People, you can't help it. CeeDee Lamb, the volume is going to be immense. So there are players like that, and maybe even Ashton Genty. But I think these rookies that get the ADP rocket strapped to their tail side, don't always work out. Clyde Edwards-Helaire would like me to know that doesn't always work out. Like, I'm not comparing those two. I think Genty's going to be fine. And I don't, I have shares of him. I think he's going about 8 overall right now on the consensus ADP. I wouldn't shy him there.
You would take him? You're good?
I'd probably go with receiver at that point.
Okay,
I want to come around. I like the running backs available in the second round if that's the case.
Yeah.
So, because I'd rather wait a little bit and see if somebody lets Derrick Henry slide or Christian McCaffrey, some of the backs going after him. Jonathan Taylor's a guy that I can come back around in the second round and I feel pretty comfortable. So it's more about thinking, like I'm not playing chess here, people. I'm playing like 2D checkers, but I am thinking ahead a little bit.
I like it. So are you in the Bros versus Joes?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
When's your draft? Right now. It's going on right now. We're in okay.
So I did mine on Sunday.
Mine's a slow draft. So.
Oh, yours is okay.
We're just heading into the 4th round. So, yeah.
So ours was Sunday. JJ's Zach Reison's in it. Mans is in it. Todd Burrows is in it. And of course, the Joes are not Joes. These are
Todd Burrows is horrifying. Seriously, man, that guy is a player.
Yeah, no, yeah. So I had pick 9, and I literally was gasping for air. Saquon Barkley fell to me at 9. I took him.
Yeah, I think you would. I would too.
I
Like
mean,
I think you
yeah.
would almost have to there. We had like Barkley went 5th. Bender took Barkley 5th. I'm
Okay.
in with Bender, Jeff Ratcliffe,
Okay.
and some others. Cole Kelly. There's some great players in this group. But yeah, Bender got him at 5. Brock Bowers went at 4, which kind of you expect. Trey McBride at 10, as you kind of expect. I drafted 3rd overall, played it safe with some upside on my first pick. Took Justin Jefferson over Jahmyr Gibbs, over Barkley, just because I want that locked in volume. I remind people again about the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So Justin Jefferson was wide receiver 3 2 years ago with what was it? Nick Mullins, Josh Dobbs. Who was the rookie that nobody?
Mullins?
No,
you said Mullins.
There was a rookie that was in there. It was a hodgepodge of nobodies.
Yeah,
over the course of the final 5 games. Still put up huge numbers. So I think that you're putting your faith in Kevin O'Connell. But the target of that whole affair was thinking I would get George Kittle in the 2nd round with my 2nd pick, and I did. And then I came around and reached on Devontae Adams because he is a flag plant play. So I'm sitting here with 2 wide receivers and a tight end, 0 running backs at the moment. Probably will have one soon. Quarterbacks just started coming off the board in round 3. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow went as the 3rd quarterback off the board, and that's a totally defensible position for this draft. These kind of things, like the Scott Fish Bowl, like I always do stupid things. I fail miserably every single year. There's a theme of this show. Bob Harris is a miserable failure. But I like, the Scott Fish Bowl, I'm there to give to charity, and I try to leverage the scoring system and game it because it's always that unique system. And I always go way far overboard. This year it was like volume. And so I did. I got Henry and Achane as my first 2 picks, George Kittle on the reversal, and just kept loading up on the potential volume plays. But I'll say this: where I'm not a miserable failure is in the fantasy care eliminators, where I end up doing really well. And it's because I also ridiculously overplay the scoring system. In those contests, it seems to work a little better.
Yeah. I don't do very well on those. I think maybe the farthest I ever made was like 4th out, or 4th to the end out. But,
I'm usually in it till close to the end. I've won a fair share.
So let's talk about, obviously there's no such thing as a sleeper. But there is undervalued. Who are a couple of your favorites that you like getting in those mid-late rounds, that whether you call it planting your flag or whatever, but they just seem to fall into your lap because of where they're going off the board at, and you see the value in it.
I think Mike Evans with the 40th pick overall as wide receiver 20 is ridiculously low for him. Alvin Kamara in that same, but there's a whole range of running backs I like right there, so I'll kind of pass on that. James Conner every year is a value that I'm willing to dive into, but I think let's go a little further. David Montgomery as running back 62 last year over the 14 games that he and Jahmyr Gibbs were on the field together. Jahmyr Gibbs was running back 5. David Montgomery's running back 9. I mean, people forget how productive he is in that offense. I know there's a change of coordinator. I'm guessing that coordinator can watch film and understands how this all works.
Not screw with it.
John Morton has said he's not going to reinvent the wheel. But even in that same range, I think like DeAndre Swift, there's a lot of reasons why people don't like him. Number one is Ben Johnson. Oh, yeah, he traded him away in Detroit after 1 year. Well, did he trade him away or did somebody else? I don't know if Ben Johnson was actually in charge of personnel at that point, but he was calling plays. But also, he's in Chicago, and I think I'm interested not for the moves they made, but for the moves they did not make. Well, the moves they did make was shoring up the offensive line. The moves they did not make were the ones we all expected. We're going to get another running back. Yeah. I know Kyle Monange is another running back, but the draft capital does not suggest a robust role. It could happen. We know running backs it can, but Roshan Johnson's there. But it looks like Swift is in a perfect position to maybe cash in on that. But even after him, Aaron Jones is going. Like, I know Jordan Mason's there, but I also know that they paid Jones a lot of money this offseason. Like, what was it, a $20 million extension? They still think he can play a little bit. And even when you're outside that range, I mean, there's some guys I could go with. Caleb Johnson, I think, is going to have a robust enough role. Tony Pollard, you're looking at the 6th round running backs that can probably start for you. So if you're not playing your not zero, but hero running back, I'm not as much. But if you're playing your zero or hyper fragile, there's tons of guys out there that I love. I think even Brian Robinson Jr. is out there too.
Right.
Some of my favorite values wide receivers. Stephon Diggs going as wide receiver 41. He's going to be ready for the start of camp. He is ready for the start of camp. Might be ready for the start of the season. Even if he's not, if he misses a game or two, thinking he's going to be the most targeted receiver in that offense. The pink powder apparently works really good. He seems to be feeling good, and so I'm expecting him like every year since 2017, or he's been a wide receiver 5 or better until last year when he got injured, and he was on pace for 100 catches and 1,000 yards in Houston. I think he's a great value at the price he's going at. I love him at wide receiver. There are other ones like I'm always going to be a sucker for the Adam Thielen wide receiver 60th price range for a guy who the last 2 years has finished as a wide receiver 1 or 2 range. Mostly, there are long streaks of wide receiver 1 production. Bryce Young seems to be coming around. I know Tetairoa McMillan's there, and he's going to gobble up a lot. Maybe Xavier Legette figures out to catch the football, maybe, but it seems like there's a built-in connection there. I want to just mention some outlier guys that people aren't talking about a lot. J.K. Dobbins is a running back that, showing up in Denver when he did. After OTAs, we all thought it was going to be R.J. Harvey. Well, they got a long look at R.J. Harvey, decided to sign J.K. Dobbins. And Cecil Lammy, my colleague at Footballguys, who also covers the Broncos on a daily basis, he thinks it's a 1A, 1B, and he thinks Dobbins is the 1A. They could both have value, but Dobbins going as like running back 40 is a ridiculously cheap price off some of that. And Jerome Ford's another one that, like we all know the situation in Cleveland, even before Judkins' issues, Jerome Ford was likely to open as a starter. So if you pick someone shaky that you think is going to get off to a slow start and you need someone to maybe cover you a few weeks, maybe Jerome Ford is a guy that can do that. So there's tons of value. Quarterback is like endless value all the way down to about 26. Like Geno Smith's quarterback 26. If I had to play him, I could play him. Matt Stafford down there at 24, 25, I could play them too. So I think there's a range of running backs, quarterbacks, and wide receivers. Running backs tend to dry up, but it seems like to me this year, there's that point where you get this about running back 38 where, Javonte Williams, he might be the starter. And if not, Jaden Blue's about 10 picks later, or maybe one of the Jacksonville backs that, I don't know. It's good. They're ambiguous backfields at the moment, but we may get clarity. And at the price point, it's worth throwing a dart at them. If we're throwing darts way late at players, I like the Noahs and the Browns, Noah Brown and De'Ami Brown in Washington and Jacksonville, respectively. I think those are great, like flyers. And there's tons of tight ends. Like Zach Ertz is going as tight end 22 or something ridiculous like that. It's one of Jaden Daniels' favorite targets. I don't think he's run out of steam just yet. But there's a lot of guys like that I think are being widely overlooked. So there's value everywhere. Like I said, I've got 12 drafts going. I have tons of those, some of those players I've mentioned just because the price is right. And again, being a cheapskate, I'm on the hunt.
I mean, like you said, it's not being cheap. It's finding value. I mean, that's how you win championships, or at least make the playoffs.
Right.
Consistency is important. I'm going to talk about consistency, but those players are usually those players that are consistent because of that volume. The Zach Ertz, those people you talk about, Stephon Diggs, blah, blah, blah. When they're on the field, they put up solid numbers. They're consistent every week. And so Mike Evans, all those guys you mentioned are all in my list.
So we always talk about this, building your roster construction, your overall construction. You want to have some of those steady eddies where the role is there, but you take some shots on some upside guys, maybe even overpaying a little bit early in the rounds. I know, don't listen to Jeff Ratcliffe about the overpaying. I'll get a lecture. But no, reaching up a little bit, like in the drafts where you have to reach up a little bit to get some of these players that you really love. But if there's a player like that and you think it's a little risky, you can mitigate that risk. You can have risk on your roster without having a risky roster. And I think that's the key to it all. And players like that, the steady eddies, the guys with the established roles are a big key building block and all that.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Well, Bob, thank you so much for the time. I know you've got to get to your show here soon, tonight on SiriusXM. Folks, don't forget to check out Football Diehards, 8 p.m. Eastern. He's there with Mr. Mike. Yeah, what's his last name?
Dempsey.
God, why did I just went brain dumb? Like Mike.
Dempsey. We'll have Nate Polvote will be joining us from Optimus Fantasy tonight. Also, our training camp 2-a-days started this week, so we'll be doing the Cowboys and Chiefs tonight. So we'll have beat writers from both those teams there to kind of run us through some of the top storylines and those teams, and we'll be doing that throughout the summer as we go along. And and taking calls and kicking ass and having all the good times that you can imagine.
I'll bet. Yeah, we got to get Dempsey to the Expo some year.
One of these years. Well, he's usually doing the Jaguars thing, and it's hard for him.
Maybe next year. Maybe
we'll see.
Maybe we can do that. So, all right, gentlemen, Bob, tell everybody where they can find you, all the great stuff, all your socials. You're everywhere. We all know you. We all love you.
Football diehard on all the places, the X, the Blueski, the Instagrams, you name it. I'm there doing some kind of nonsense. Catch me on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio Monday through Friday 8 to 10, and Football Guys all the time. My On the Hot Seat show out every Tuesday. Pretty soon I'll start doing my Saturday live streams where we sit there and shoot the breeze about football. Me and a couple hundred of my closest friends. So we'll do that, and every week all my written content on Football Guys as well. So check all that out and give a visit. Check out the magazine; it's fantastic. I think you'll
can't wait. When they mailing out the pre-orders?
As soon as they're printed. I think early in August.
Okay, I was going to say because I'd be like, I don't have my book yet. I'm like. I thought they said August 1st was like the mail date or whatever.
I think it might be the 2nd is the mail date, but I like once I'm done making it, I don't really care.
You're done. So definitely check that out. Like I said, I already pre-ordered mine. I'm hoping I get a golden ticket so I can get like lifetime subscription.
Golden ticket is nice. Golden ticket is nice.
Come on.
12 of them in those pre-order books.
Joe, Joe, if you're listening, sneak one in. Be the Wonka for me.
Okay. All right. So, love that play.
Yeah. All right. Well, folks, most importantly, you're going to see that guy in like 2.5 weeks at the Fantasy Football Expo, Canton, Ohio. And if you don't have a ticket to be there yet, what are you waiting on? Get out there. The ticket's still for sale. We'll probably close them August 4th. At the door, it's going to be expensive. Don't wait for the door. Just get your ticket.
I already have mine.
Yeah, Bob had his months ago.
I did.
And he knows. He gets them early because he saves money because he's cheap, right? Remember, we said that. He already said that. All right. For Bob Harris, I'm Bob Lung. Everybody take care. God bless. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching. Lock in your 2025 football tickets now at thefantasyfootballexpo.com. Hit subscribe and check out one of these excellent at FF Expo videos next.